Hey everyone. How y'all doing today? Well, Amber Heard's opening brief is finally here. To be honest, there is nothing in it that I didn't expect. As you will have most likely guessed, this was going to contain a lot of pages. There are 68 in total. So I've decided to split the brief up into sections and do a video on each section. I think it'll be a bit like what I did for JD's opening brief. So, let's look at this first part. This part isn't anything special or juicy, but it does give an indication of what is going to be argued further. Obviously, this is the front cover that was submitted by Amber Heard. I'll move slowly down so that you can have a good read as we go along. I don't want to talk very much in this part with my own opinions but rather just read it instead. So there may be a few little periods of silence. Okay, so we're coming up to the table of contents. This will give us a good indication as to what the opening brief is and it'll explain little about the arguments too. So let's take a look. So there is the Table of Authorities, Statement of the Case, Assignment of Error, Statement of Facts, the 2016 Domestic Violence Proceeding, Depp's Lawsuit Against the Sun, the Op-Ed, Depp's Lawsuit Against Heard, Relevant Pretrial Proceedings, and the Trial. Then we've got the argument. The trial court erred by not dismissing Depp's claims prior to trial. The trial court should have dismissed Depp's claims on the ground of forum non-convenes. Depp's defamation claims arose outside of Virginia. Virginia was a completely inconvenient forum. And 1b. The trial court should have dismissed Depp's claims because the challenged statements are non-actionable expressions of opinion. And c. The trial court should have dismissed Depp's claims because the challenged statements are not reasonably capable of conveying a defamatory implication as a matter of law. Just got to move it up a bit. And d. The trial court should have dismissed Depp's claims because the doctrine of issue preclusion prevents re-litigation of the UK court's ruling that Heard's abuse accusation are substantially true. Here we go again. Substantially. Substantially does not mean completely. The trial court erred in denying Heard's motion to set aside the jury's verdict based on Depp's failure to prove actual malice. Depp failed to prove by clear and convincing evidence that Heard was aware of and intended to communicate the alleged defamatory implications. Depp failed to prove by clear and convincing evidence that Heard either knew the alleged implication that he had abused her was false or subjectively entertained serious doubts about its truth. Well, he proved to all of us that it was false. The trial court erred in failing to grant a new trial for multiple reasons. The trial court made numerous evidentiary errors that severely prejudiced Heard at trial. The trial court erred by excluding evidence of Depp's abuse and Heard's state of mind. Heard's reports of abuse to medical providers plainly were admissible. The trial court wrongly excluded corroborating testimony of Heard's allegations. The trial court improperly excluded the UK judgment. The trial court erred when it precluded Depp from answering a question about the truth of one of the allegedly defamatory statements. The trial court erroneously admitted irrelevant and prejudicial evidence. The trial court committed reversible error when it admitted extrinsic evidence of Heard's pledge to donate money to charity. Here we go again, pledging not actually donating. The trial court committed reversible error when it admitted extrinsic evidence of Heard's alleged domestic abuse more than a decade earlier. The trial court's evidentiary rulings encouraged the jury to award damages unrelated to the op-ed. The trial court erred by not dismissing the claim based on the headline for the web version of the op-ed because the evidence established that Heard did not publish it. The trial court improperly instructed the jury of actual malice. The jury verdicts are inherently and irreconcilably inconsistent. The jury's damages award is excessive. Then there's the conclusion and the table of authorities, which I won't read. But I'll scroll down on them. There's a lot of them. You could knit yourself a pair of socks in the time that it takes to scroll down all of these. But what do you think of the argument so far? I didn't want to make any of my opinions known in that bit, but I couldn't help myself. They're blaming the court for a lot of errors. I sure do hope that Ben Chu and everyone can demonstrate that there wasn't. This bit goes on and on and on. Don't forget that while there are 68 pages to this, she has a lot more to argue than Johnny Depp. After all, the jury's verdict was in his favor, albeit when it came to Heard's counterclaim about Adam Waldman. These pages are seriously like the never-ending story. Her attorneys are certainly earning their money. Well, if they ever receive any money at all. Don't forget about the insurance companies. I don't know about you, but I'm already fed up with looking at all of these individual cases. At least the table of contents has, I hope, given you an idea of what Amber Heard's arguments are about. One of the main things I keep picking up on is that they wanted the Sun trial entered into this, but they're also making a deal about her previous DV case being brought in. And, I can't actually believe that they are discussing the pledge again. The evidence was put in the trial that she did not donate that money at all. It looks like we're coming to the end of the table of authorities. So it'll be the statement of the case next. I think that I'll leave the statement of the case and the other parts, as like I said earlier, I'll be dissecting this opening brief more in other videos. My brain is already fried. I'll also put my humor into the rest of the videos. I just can't remain serious at all. Well, I can when I have to be professional, but I'm sure that I can give you the facts with a bit of light-hearted humor thrown in too. Even though this is the opening brief, please don't forget that Johnny Depp does get the opportunity to respond. The deadline for responding to this one is December 23rd. He can also respond to anything Heard says about his own opening brief by December 16th. So we'll have to wait to find out their responses to each other's briefs. Well, as we've come to the statement of the case, I'm going to leave it there for the moment. I hope that's already given you an insight as to what Amber Heard's opening brief is about. So until next time, have a lovely day and thank you for being here.